lads, I appreciate the love on my last video. I promised that I would make another one, further fleshing out the PvP section and the map rotation section. And this will be the PvP video. So buckle up. Alright, the first step in your PvP journey is figuring out what you should do or what you should bring into the raid. And there's an old saying by some super old wise guy, and he said something like, the more you bring into the raid, the more you leave with in the raid. And so, following that philosophy, I'm going to show you kind of my standard build, or my standard, minus my gear, of course. Because I'm not going to go buy gear right now, but I'm going to show you what I standard bring into every single game that I play, if I can afford it, and obviously if it's available. So, I'm not going to put my surge kit in here. I'll leave it in here for now. It's for the quest, so I don't want to ruin my questing here, boys. I always bring in 4 sets of potions. Doesn't really matter what rarity, though. If you can afford the white ones and you're really trying to get your points, it's not that big of a deal to buy these. I mean, it's kind of a big deal to buy them because it does heal you way more. Bandages, same thing. I buy 12 bandages every single time. Again, if you can afford the white ones, be my guest. The white bandages are more important than the white potions because bandages actually heal you for more given the rarity, whereas potions just reduce the time, but you will always get the same amount of health. It just reduces the time, and we don't really care about that. This guy is the most important man in your whole career, and every 30 minutes I buy both my friends.
For you, Mr. Jacobs, because you're our #1 customer. Well, what do you expect? You're my #1 customer. But don't you forget, you're my #1 customer. You're my #1 customer.
And yeah, this is generally what I'm looking for. I don't keep my torches. And then I like to have 3 lockpicks, 3 protection potions. Green, doesn't have to be anything fancy. 3 invis potions, doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're literally just keeping them to break mob aggro. And my gold coin purse for picking up gold. So, like I said, it would be looking exactly like this. And then let's just pretend this candy cane is a lockpick since I'm poor and I don't have any more on this account. That's my standard inventory. I take up 2 slots. And then as I progress through the game, I will drop heals for points as the game gets longer and I get towards the end of the game. Cool? Alright, let's move to the class breakdown. So in order to help you better understand PvP in solos as a barbarian player, I'm going to break down some common builds, or archetypes if you will, so you can quickly identify what you're fighting against, how they will most likely play, what you can do to play around it, and how you should go about fighting said character. So we're going to start with Warlock, and there's only 2 types of Warlock players in the entire game, and that's Caster Warlocks and Blow of Corruption Dork Locks, who think Blow of Corruption is good. If you're fighting a Caster Warlock, 90% of the time, what's going to happen is they're going to cast Power of Sacrifice on you, and you're going to hit them 1 time, and they're going to fall over. That's really that simple. That's all you have to do. They're going to cast Power of Sacrifice on you, and you're going to hit them 1 time, and they're going to fall over. Worst case scenario, you may have to just throw your 3 for any sets at people, but that's not always the case. The second type of Warlock player is Blow of Corruption, Dark Reflect, and while it's annoying and you can be killed by it, it usually only kills you if the guy is wearing Ultra Abyss and you don't have Iron Will. If you have Iron Will and you're wearing a Barbuda helm, you're not dying to Blow of Corruption. It will do a lot of damage, but you won't be dying to that. Alright, the next class we're going to cover is Wizards. And there's only two types of wizards, and they're basically the exact same. It's caster wizard and caster wizard with move speed. Now, all the wizards basically play the same, as far as I can tell, and you should only ever die to a wizard from two ways. One, if you play their game and you let them lead you into 1,000 spells, like the video below, or if you get magic missiled by some dude who's got like ultra bis. And if you have Iron Will, you should be able to circle any wizard that's using magic missile, provided they're not literally in a doorway, which I wouldn't push them if they're standing in a doorway, and take little damage while being able to either kill them with Fran axes or being able to just hit them twice and they should just die. So wizards are fairly easy for you right now in Goblin Caves, provided they're not sticking to doorways. Alright, we've come to the most toxic class, the Ranger class, and Rangers are usually fairly easy for you. The only difference in Ranger diversity is Rangers who hid their traps and Rangers who didn't hide their traps. Yeah, the whole class for Ranger versus Barb comes down to, did he hide his trap in a body or under a piece of gear or in the perfect shadows? And did you step in it? Because if you stepped in it and he has gear, you're dead. If you stepped in it and he doesn't have gear and he's still good at aiming, you're probably maybe dead. And if you didn't step in it, then he's dead for free 99.9% of the time. That's the entire class. It really sucks. You may get caught off guard if he's using the slow perk and he's got a high damage weapon and he's not missing. It's possible that if he's like across a room and you try to charge him in a big open room and he's got the slow perk, you might die. But other than that, all Ranger classes are super weak unless you step in a trap and then you're dead for free. All right, on to the sneaky class. Now we're talking about rogues. And as far as I can tell, there's only 2/3 types of rogues. There's ambush rogue players who are using like silence to try to kill fighters, and then there's ambush rogue players that are using poison, and then there's this weird smoke hand crossbow no invis build, which is really cancerous, and those are the only types of rogues you're gonna have. So I'm gonna put ambush in the same, both ambushes in the same kind of side, but ambush rogues are usually only ever going to kill you if they're super geared, and you can always bait them into dying by doing what the advice I said in the other video, which is to fake a couple hits, pretend you're dumb, and then jump, swing at them with a Zweihander while you have Rage and Achilles on, and it will usually catch them every single time. It's very easy. They're very greedy, and if they're using the silence, it's a little bit harder. But again, they're only ever going to kill you if they're super geared. These players are like not smart enough to just do hit and runs. Although I did run into one guy doing that. He ended up dying anyway. So rogues are pretty chill. However, if you run into this crazy fucking hand crossbow build where the guy's just spamming smoke and hand crossbow, good luck, boys. I would have killed the one that killed me if the centipede wasn't bugged and the body had a giant hitbox so you could throw friends. But the only advice I have to fighting that is literally, if they're using that smoke build with the hand crossbow, throw all your friends at him and pray to God you hit him with all your friends, or charge into the smoke and spin around in circles and swing your fucking Zweihander, because you're really slow. I don't know if they can see better in the smoke, but you're very slow and it's very annoying to deal with because you can't move. The slow is like ungodly. So yeah, just that's my 2 cents on that. I have only fought it once, so I don't know exactly if that's the play, but as far as I can tell, that's your only two options when you're fighting that type of rogue. Rogues tend to fight in corridors. That's the other problem you have against rogues, so try not to fight in corridors. Otherwise, you won't be able to swing very well usually, and then they can also kind of out-trade you. And now we've come to the weirdest set of players in the entire game, at least in solos, and it's clerics. And clerics only fall into one of two categories, at least in my experience fighting them. I fought a couple of people that were outliers a few patches ago, but all the clerics you see in the Goblin Caves right now are in two groups. Clerics that only block and never attack, and clerics that might throw an attack at you. That's it. They're really bad. The same advice for fighting anyone with a shield applies here. You literally just take your Zweihander, you sweep at the legs once, they look down, then you hit them in the head because your Zweihander's second hit comes in from the left. And oftentimes you can even just hit them in the head without hitting their shield in general, because the skinny hitbox for the Zweihander is really good for the horizontal hit. So yeah, clerics are super easy. They don't do anything. They don't do any damage. If for some reason you're worried about his damage and he's super geared, if he turns on smite or whatever it is that gives him the bonus magic damage on hit, just walk away and then his whole game is over. That's it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, now we've come to the fastest one yet, and it's the Bard class. There's only two types of Bards. Either you're going to fight someone that's quest completion Bard, meaning you're just going to kill them for the quest, and they're going to be super easy and free. They're going to be running from you. They're going to be screaming, please don't kill me. You killed me last game. I'm sick and tired of this game. I just want to play solos,
the quest!
but I can't because everyone's trying to
I
kill
have to
me.
do this!
Or you're going to fight some dude.
Bro, I
who's
have
got a
to do
fucking legendary
this!
crossbow, who's reloading it like he's fucking Rambo, and he does 8 million damage. Now, does that mean the Bard class was good, or that you need to be afraid of them? Not really. It's more just the crossbow is extremely broken, and Bard has action speed up the asshole with one of those songs, so he just like Ramboing you to death with a crossbow. So, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. They're never going to nerf the crossbow, so get over it.
What is my purpose?
You help people complete their Santa quest.
Oh my god.
And now to talk about the crew, barbarians. There's a few types of barbarians, mainly two camps. Again, like I'm just gonna lump a couple of them together. There's Barbs who watched the last video, and there's Barbs who will say, "I'll just get in." The latter is people who understand how to space and play around their range, don't waste their Achilles strike for no reason, and don't waste frannies on nothing, like you'll see in the videos on the bottom. And then there's Barbs who will use quarterstaffs and horseman axes and felling axes and bardishes, and they're going to tell you stupid things like, don't worry, bro, I'm just going to get in. Don't worry, man, it's okay. If I just get in, it's okay. I can just get in. But they don't realize that, one, they're never getting in. It's a big club and they're not getting in. And two, even if they get in, and I have Achilles strike, I'm getting out when you're getting in. So then you're not in. You're actually out. It's the way of the world, man. Get over it. Get off the felling axe if you're in solos. Get off the quarterstaff. Get off the horseman axe. Stop using the bardiche. Don't use the double axe. Don't use the battle axe. They're all bad weapons. It's unfortunate that I have to say this because it's going to inflate this Zweihander price, but like, all that shit is trash. Dog doo-doo. Only use it if you're poor and broke and have no funds, dude. Alright, and last, for the worst and most annoying class, because it is a direct counter to barbarians, especially in solos, is the fighter class. And there is 3 types of fighter players right now in the caves. Slayer fighter's been forgotten, so nobody plays that. And it's PDR longsword fighters, PDR falcon shield fighters, and halberd PDR abusers. Those are the only 3 classes, rather 3 archetypes that you'll ever find. And they're relatively easy to fight until you encounter one that isn't afraid and has really high, and I mean really high PDR. The problem with fighting PDR fighters in general as a barbarian, other than the fact that they are a complete counter to you, is that in solos, you tend to get third-partied fairly often. And yes, you will probably win most of your fights if you follow this guide and the previous guide, and you kind of practice using the Zweihander. You will win a lot of your fights versus these PDR fighters. The problem is you're going to get third-partied a lot of the time, and that's the only time you're probably really going to be in trouble, because you cannot heal fast enough, and since it takes forever for you to heal to your maximum HP, you're basically just boned. You're basically fighting Godzilla. I'll give you a couple tips just in verbal here, and then I'll kind of go more in depth as the last part of the video. But if you're fighting the Longsword, Parry Master 9000. The trick to beating them, for the most part, is only two options. One, if they're really bad and they're not hitting you, if you right mouse button with the Zweihander, it is almost impossible for them to block at least the first portion, if not the second portion of the swing, because the first portion comes from the bottom right, and if they're blocking, their sword is going from up top right to bottom left, and means they're going to be hitting their peak and tip of their blade versus the tip of the Zweihander, and those are very hard to connect, and he has to overcorrect. Two is to barrel stuff him. Not too much, because I believe there's a bug with this Zweihander where if you go too close and you hit a direct front-on swing, it will sometimes not register. But if you barrel stuff them and do only one right click, one portion of the combo repeatedly, you can just keep hitting them in the side of the gut, and they usually can't block it, or they panic and don't block it, and then in that case you can continue your full combo. But you can just repeatedly right mouse button one time over and over, and they usually can't block it, because they have to overcorrect way too much, and it just doesn't work. And if they do end up blocking it, and you can't disengage, if they've blocked it once from your super wide swing to the right, you can usually continue the combo and hit them on the left side. If you're fighting shield users, the same thing applies for clerics. You swing at their feet once with the first swing, they're going to look down, then you swing a second time, and you're almost guaranteed to hit. You should be aiming for the head on the second swing, because it's coming from left to right, and their weapon is in their right hand. So when you're swinging, their shield is too far away from them to block the second hit. But even if they do end up trying to block, you can usually scalp them. Halberd users are arguably the most tricky, and that's because the weapon is broken. It's not functioning properly. It just does 100% damage no matter where it hits you. So really, you just have to try to hit him with a couple friends first. Bait his second wind. You should try to bait second wind on every fighter you fight. Bait his second wind, and then hit him with a couple friends first, and then try to get your hit first out of the 3-hit combo, and then you should be able to win as long as you're landing your hits accurately. Never engage with any smart fighter who's going to sit in a fucking doorway or a corridor. Not many of them do it, but if any of those guys sit in a corridor, not even worth fighting, because most of the time you're just going to end up hitting the wall or something stupid. Even if you have good control like me, you'll still end up hitting the wall. If they're fighting around like little objects or anything like that, or in doorways, which is what most fighters will do, they'll just run to a doorway and pull out a crossbow. Don't fight them. Just leave them. Run away. Go do something else. Leave the map. Doesn't matter. Better to save your gear and lose points than it is to lose your whole gear set. My name is Retro Ray, and I'm putting together a special team. And I need me 8 barbarians. 8 fully kitted barbarians. Now, y'all might have heard rumors about the Road to Pathfinder happening soon. Well, we'll be getting there a little earlier. We're going to be queued into the Goblin Caves dressed as low-tier individuals. And once we're in enemy territory, as a hacking, slashing, fat army, we're going to be doing one thing, and one thing only. Killing fighters. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I sure as hell didn't come down from the goddamn Smoky Mountains, cross 5,000 miles of water, fight my way through half of Sicily, and jump out of a fucking aeroplane to teach the fighter a lesson in humanity. Fighters ain't got no humanity. They're the foot soldiers of a balance-hating mass maniac, and they need to be destroyed. That's why any and every sumbitch we find playing fighter, they're gonna die. Now, I'm the direct descendant of Korgath the Barbarian. Means I got a little Viking in me. And our battle plan will be that of a Viking berserker. We will be cruel to the fighters. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. And they will find the evidence of our cruelty in the disemboweled, dismembered, and disfigured bodies of their brothers we leave behind us. And the fighters won't be able to help themselves. But imagine the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands. At our boot heels. At the edge of our Zwies. And the fighter will be sickened by us. And the fighter will talk about us. And the fighter will fear us. And when the fighter closes his eyes at night, and they're tortured by their subconscious for the evil they have done, it will be with thoughts of us that they are tortured with. Sound good?
Yes, sir!
That's what I like to hear. But I got a word of warning for all you would-be warriors. When you join my command, you take on debit. A debit you owe me personally. Each and every man under my command owes me 100 fighter helms. And I want my helms. And all y'all will get me 100 fighter helms, taking off the heads of 100 dead fighters. Or you will die trying. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope it was more help than the last one. I know I didn't go into super specific breakdowns of clips, but I hope I gave a good enough general overview per class. And then in my part 2 for this, hopefully, if I'm ever going to get over this cold and I have time, I will make a part 2 to this where I break down individual clips and what I've done in relation to the advice that I've given in this video. And I will also finish and make the 4th video, which will be the map rotation video. Hopefully, I'll have 2 characters in Demigod by then, but we'll see. I kind of slowed down a little bit here, and I'm not sure that I'll get it in time, but it would be nice. I'm definitely going to hit Exemplar when I stream, hopefully tomorrow. So if you're watching this video live on Friday, I should be live on either YouTube and Twitch. Probably Kick, but my Kick is kind of broken. It doesn't work with my multi-streaming service that I pay for, so I'll see if I can fix it. But yeah, come stop by, say hello, ask another question. If you have more questions, like I said before, go to the Dark and Darker Barb Chat Discord, and go to the Barb Chat. I'm in there quite often. Or come to my stream if I'm streaming, and I will try to answer whatever questions you may have in relation to this class. I'm probably not going to make another class guide, like a different class guide yet. We'll see about that. I really just, I don't hate the other classes. I just enjoy this class so much more that I don't know if I'll ever swap off, at least for this season. We'll see about future seasons, but thanks for stopping by, boys. Peace.